Reference source. Okay.
Kulay pa rin.
Nasaan na siya?
Yung may kulay po, i-aakyat ko lang.
Ah, wala pa.
Opo. Okay, ma'am.
Tapos po ma'am, ito po. Natanong ko ng buhay po.
After the national anthem. Kailan ba on time? Kailan ba on time kung walang majority?
Diyan sila mo.
Nandiyan na.
Ano? Bowling.
Okay.
Dalawa lang naman lang ano. Tapos
Kasi nung DS, ako lang, the whole time. Schedule ko bukas talaga. Tatawag lang nila.
Sir Conrad.
Si West parang hindi.
Ito ka parang sa status ng Sir Pinky. Katapos ko mag-isa ng
Nandyan?
Nandyan?
Nandyan? Nandyan siya. Mag-veterans business lang.
Ang pwede naman namin hanapin kung hindi man lang.
Okay.
File nominal.
Ako na yung first half sa BB.
Ito natin. Ano pa mo? Yung department ko.
Talaga?
Sa awa ng 2,000.
Pero saan sa
Executive director ko.
Recording in progress.
Pero hindi ko na mapapasok. Pag-alas, hindi ko pumasok. Kasi may mga running notes, mga
kung kumonti na kayo, i-hack ulit. Hack lang ng hack.
oo, mayroong karilyeto eh. Hirap. Ano lang mga nagpil pa mo ng karilyeto eh. Sir Eric Martinista naman lang yun. Huwag yung palapad nila. O mag-gala-gala pa.
Mga titigasan lang, lumalabas. Tapos pag may kausap, ibababa pa nila bukas kasi hindi makaisa. Tapos nakakalimutan nila na, alam mo yung hindi nila iniisip na gano'n na nila kasi tapos nasa stress ako kasi palagi ko naman pinapanood.
Hindi mo talaga. Kung ka magsasawa, yung talaga eh. Tawagin ko mag-sir. Hindi, wala ko si Sir. Sir Rimpi darating. Sir Rimpi, sino pababa na? Alam ko nasa taas lang yun. Sir Rimpi. sa inyo, ma'am. Lang trip lang naman kayo. Hindi naman ano.
Ito, ay, land trip. Ano rin yun? Ano, high school?
Ay, mga, better, hindi ko. Maligal lang kayo, di ba?
Pero tinitry ko yung
Pero mga bata, hindi na pinapupunta. Hindi na sa Manila.
pero napansin. Saka yung husband ko yun. Kasi
Ma'am.
pumusok din yung asawa.
Ano tayo, ma'am?
Start na natin. Okay.
Tapos, decoration, meron kami. 159. Pag na sino? Yung Sarimpi?
Code to order. Code to order.
Sessions called to order.
Prayer or
National anthem.
Please rise for the singing of the national anthem.
Bayang magiliw, perlas ng silanganan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyak ka ng mag-ibig, sa manlulupit, kita pasisingil, sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bahaw. May nilang ang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kisap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagtitigil. Ang bituin at araw niya kailan papay magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng walo aming pagsinta, buhay ay langit sa piling ko. Aming ligaya dapat may mga aking at namatay ng dahil sa'yo.
The Honorable Angelica Natasha is recognized to lead the prayer.
In the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Loving Heavenly Father, Creator and Sustainer, in your infinite wisdom, you have set us to be public servants. We come to you this hour asking for your blessing and help as we are gathered together. Grant that each of us may treat the rich and the poor, the young and the old, the educated and the uneducated with dignity and fairness. May we serve without prejudice or partiality in times of prosperity or poverty, peace or war. Give each of us knowledge, insight, courage, and strength. May we know right from wrong, when to be flexible and when to be firm. Heavenly Father, we pray that in your name we will run and not be weary, and walk and not be faint, and will heed these words and put on love. We ask this in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Session suspended.
Privilege picture siya sa akin. Sa mga... Tawagan ko naman. Paano ko nag-represent? Pag-zoom ka. DSTV, nandito po ba kayo sa house? Nandito kayo sa house? Wala kayo. Pero you will deliver by June. Oh, nakabilis pa rin mo kayo. Sige, timbre namin kayo. Si DS Dante. Sige, okay. Sabihan nyo, ano? Defer. Journal. Wala pa eh. Ito pa lang, kakapost pa lang namin dito. Tapos, reference sir. Roll call, sir.
Session resumed.
Madam Speaker, I move that the Secretary General be directed to call the roll of members. So move, Madam Speaker.
The Secretary General is directed to call the roll of members.
Roll call of members, honorable representatives. Abante, Abaya, Abellanosa, Abu, Abueg Saldivar, Abunda, Acosta, Acosta Alba, Adyong, Advincula, Agabas, Agaraw, Aglipay, Aguinaldo, Albano, Almario, Alonte, Alvarez Franz, Alvarez Genaro, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amante Matba, Amatong, Angara, Aragones, Arbison, Arenas, Arroyo, Atienza, Aumentado, Babasa, Bagatsing, Balindong, Banyas Nograles, Barba, Barbers, Baronda, Barsaga, Baskub, Bautista, Bautista Bandigan, Belmonte, Benitez, Bernos, Biazon, Billones, Biron, Bolilia, Bondok, Bordado, Bravo, Brosas, Bulot, Bustos, Kabatbat, Cabochan, Cabredo, Cagas, Calderon, Calixto, Caminero, Campos, Canama, Kawagdan, Cardema, Cari, Castelo, Castro Franz, Castro Fredenil, Cayetano Alan Peter, Cayetano Maria Laarni, Celeste, Chato, Chipeco, Chungalao, Co Angelica, Co Elizaldi, Coangco, Colliantes, Crisologo, Cua, Cuaresma, Cueva, Culiamat, Dagook, Dalipe, Dalog, Daza, De Jesus, De Venecia, Defensor Lawrence, Defensor Michael, De Los Santos, De Loso Montalia, Dimaporo Abdullah, Dimaporo Khalid, Duavit, Duhali, Duterte, D. Faustino Ino, D. Faustino Michael, D. Ian, Ebcas, Ecleo, Elago, Enverga, Erice, Erigel, Ermita Buhain, Escudero, Espina, Espino, Estrella, Fariñas Ria, Fariñas Rudy Cesar, Fernandez, Fernando, Ferrer Juliet, Ferrer Luis, Flores, Fortun, Fortuno, Frasco, Fuentebella, Gaite, Garbin, Garcia Jose Enrique, Garcia Pablo Jan, Garcia Vincent, Garin Janet, Garin Sharon, Gasataya, Gatchalian, Gato, Heron, Go Ed, Go Mark, Gonzaga, Gonzales Aurelio, Gonzales Neptali, Gonzales Sandro, Goriseta, Guico, Gulias, Guya, Haresco, Hataman, Hernandez, Herrera D, Hofer, Haloshos, Javier, Jimenez, Co Eliza, Co Wilton, Konghun, Labad-Labad, Lacson, Lacson Noel, Lagman, Lagon, Lara, Lazatin, Liachon, Legarda, Lim, Lim Kaichong, Lopez, Loyola, Lusotan, Macapagal Arroyo, Maceda, Madrona, Malapitan, Mangawang, Manguda Datu, Marcoleta, Mariano Hernandez, Marino, Marquez, Martinez, Matba, Matugas, Mendoza, Mercado, Momo, Natividad Naganyo, Nava, Nieto, Noel, Nograles Jericho, Nograles Juan, Nolasco, Nunez Malaniaon, Uwaminal, Olivares, Ong Jose, Ong Ronnie, Ordanes, Ortega, Uwano Dizon, Pacquiao Alberto, Pacquiao Rogelio, Padiernos, Paduano, Palma, Pancho, Panotes, Peña, Pichay, Pimentel, Pineda, Plaza, Puno, Kimbo, Radaza, Ramirez Sato, Remulia, Revilla, Reyes, Rivera, Robes, Rodriguez, Roman, Romero, Romualdez Ferdinand, Romualdez Yeda, Romualdo, Romulo, Roque, Sakdalan, Sagarbaria, Sakaluran, Salceda, Salimbangon, Salo, Sanchez, Sangkopan, Santos Recto, Sarmiento, Saulug, Saveliano, Xiao, Silverio, Singson, Singson Mihan, Sinsuat, Suansing Estrelita, Suansing Horacio, Suarez Aleta, Suarez David, Suntay, C. Alvarado, Taduran, Talyado, Tambunting, Tan Alaysa, Tan Angelina, Tan Samir, Tan Shari, Tan Sherny,
Hindi lang nakakapal.
Tejada, Teves Arnolfo, Teves Jose, Hiangco, Tolentino, Torres Gomez, Tulfo, Tupas, Chutor, T. Alan, T. Diego, Umali Alfonso, Umali Maria Victoria, Unabia, Ungab, Oy Juliet, Oy Rolando, Valeriano, Valmayor, Vargas, Vargas Alfonso, Velasco, Veloso, Vergara, Villa, Villafuerte, Villanueva Eduardo, Villanueva Noel, Villar, Villaraza Suarez, Villarica, Violago, Yap Eric, Yap Victor, Yu, Zamora Ronaldo, Zamora Waikurat, Zarate Zubiri.
Boss yun, ikaw na. Sabihan mo na lang. 298. Ito tayo. Dito kasi, tapos na to. Approval of that.
Madam Speaker, the roll call shows that 298 members responded to the call.
Records of business. 298.
With 298 members responding to the call, the chair declares the presence of a quorum. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we defer the approval of the journal. So move, Madam Speaker.
Approval? Defer? Defer.
Is there any other objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we now proceed with the reference of business and request that the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the bills and resolution on first reading as well as communication and committee reports.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of bills, resolutions, and committee reports.
Reference of business, bills on first reading, House Bill number 10110, creating the Uniformed Personnel Attorney's Office for the legal representation and defense of uniformed personnel in cases relating to the performance of their duties by Representative Olivares.
To the Committee on Justice and the Committee on National Defense and Security and the Committee on Public Order and Safety.
House Bill number 10111, instituting a continuous technology use and utilization training for public school, elementary, and high school teachers by Representative Olivares.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill number 10112, strengthening our primary health care system through the appointment of sufficient barangay health workers in the cities and municipalities and further strengthening the Barangay Healthcare System by Representatives Cayetano Laarni, Cayetano Alan Peter, Villanueva, Abu Fernandez, Defensor Michael, and C. Alvarado.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill number 10113, declaring Digos, Davao del Sur a cultural heritage zone by Representative Cagas.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill number 10114, establishing a general hospital in Digos, Davao del Sur to be known as the Davao del Sur General Hospital by Representative Cagas.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill number 10115, granting Filipino citizenship to Mr. Zibin Derek Liang by Representative Romualdo.
To the Committee on Justice.
House Bill number 10116, declaring Mona Cave in Barangay Danlagan, Batis, Ginayangan, Quezon as ecotourism zone by Representative Tan Angelina.
To the Committee on Tourism.
House Bill number 10117, declaring climate smart agriculture demonstration farm and eco park in Barangay Bukal, Maligaya, Ginayangan, Quezon as ecotourism zone by Representative Tan Angelina.
To the Committee on Tourism.
Resolutions. House Resolution 2188, congratulating and commending Ernest Jan E.J. Obuena for winning the silver medal at the Paris Diamond League by Representative Vargas.
To the Committee on Youth and Sports Development.
House Resolution 2189, commemorating the 60th anniversary of Mindanao State University and commending Mindanao State University for its invaluable contribution to the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region and its people by Representatives Hataman and Sangkopan.
To the Committee on Higher and Technical Education.
House Resolution 2190, urgently urging the DBM and the departments concerned to include in their annual budget for fiscal year 2022 the outstanding pension differential of military and uniformed personnel by Representative Lim.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
House Resolution 2191, expressing the profound condolences of the House to the family of Honorable Erasmo B. Damasing, former representative of the lone Legislative District of Cagayan de Oro City during the 9th and 10th Congresses. Representatives Velasco, Romualdez Martin, and Paduano.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Concurrent Resolution 19, providing for the legislative calendar for the third regular session of the 18th Congress of the Philippines.
To the Committee on
Representatives
Rules.
Message from the Senate. Message dated August 31, 2021, informing the House of Representatives that the Senate on even date passed Senate Bill 1933.
To the Committee on Welfare of Children.
Communications. Letters dated February 1, 2021 and March 15, 2021 of the BIR Commissioners submitting to the House of Representatives a copy of their consolidated aging of unpaid obligations budget utilizations as of December 31, 2020 and their consolidated monthly report of disbursement for the month of February 2021.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
Letters from COA officials furnishing the House with copies of their annual audit reports on certain state universities and colleges and water districts for the year ending December 31, 2020.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
Letter dated June 16, 2021 of the COA Audit Team Leader, Subic Bay Metropolitan Authority, transmitting to the House a copy of their annual audit report on the Subic Bay Metropolitan Authority for the year ending December 31, 2020.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
Letter dated June 21, 2021 of the COA Chairperson, transmitting to the House a copy of their annual audit report on the House of Representatives for the year ending December 31, 2020.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
Letter dated June 22, 2021 of the Secretary of Health, submitting to the House copies of the DOH 2020 annual report entitled Responsible Parenthood and Reproductive Health Act of 2012.
To the Committee on Health.
Letter dated June 23, 2021 of the CESO 5 Acting Executive Director, National Fisheries Research and Development Institute, Department of Agriculture, submitting to the House a copy of their AAPSI and their COA annual audit report for the calendar year 2020.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
Letter dated June 23, 2021 of the Director for Finance, Planning and Management Office, Philippine Competition Commission, submitting to the House a copy of their AAPSI as of June 21, 2021.
To the Committee on Trade and Industry.
Letters dated July 8, 2021 and July 9, 2021 from a certain municipal mayor and city mayor informing the House on their reports on fund utilization and status of programs, projects, activities, implementation relative to Bayanihan grant to cities, municipalities, and provinces for certain months of 2021.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
Committee reports. Report number 11A3 of the Committees on Suffrage and Electoral Reforms, Muslim Affairs and Peace, Reconciliation and Unity on House Bill 10121. Report numbers 1184, 1185, 1186, 1187, 1188, 1189, and 1190 of the Committee on Legislative Franchises on House Bills numbers 10122, 10123, 10124, 10125, 10142, 10143, and 9384.
The aforementioned committee reports are all referred to the Committee on Rules. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, today being Monday, I move that we open the privilege hour.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Madam Speaker, I now move that the gentleman from the party list Sagip, Deputy Speaker Rodante Marcoleta, be recognized to avail of the privilege hour.
The Honorable Rodante Marcoleta is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Majority Leader. Selective attention is the process of focusing on a particular object in the environment for a certain period of time. It allows us to skip other details that we do not want and concentrate on those that excite us. In life, we selectively focus on things that matter for a time, letting off those that should be shelved for the time being. Mr. Speaker, whatever happened to the findings in the 228-page 2013 audit report of the Commission on Audit submitted to Congress in the same year? The 10.1 billion peso unliquidated cash advances were reported and widely circulated by several newspapers in November 2014. The said COA audit report disclosed that 5 top executives of the Aquino administration failed to liquidate their cash advances, namely former Secretary Mar Rojas of the DILG, 1.1 billion pesos. Former Secretary Boltar Gasmin of the DND, 685.6 million pesos. Former Secretary Laila de Lima of the DOJ, 617.4 million pesos. Former Secretary Dinky Soliman of the DSWD, 452.5 million pesos. And former Secretary Proceso Alcala of the DA, 354.5 million pesos. This was so alarming that one of our colleagues, who was also then an incumbent member of the 16th Congress, the Honorable Roman Romulo, filed House Bill 1287. Said bill sought to make infraction prima facie proof of embezzlement. In the said news report, Congressman Romulo was even quoted to have said, and I quote, "Under the revised penal code, if a public officer had been advanced cash and failed to account for the money, it is presumed that the money had been pocketed and put to personal use. The legal presumption is as clear as day." The proposed bill further advocated that the failure to settle the cash advance will be sufficient evidence that the receiving party pocketed the money, which could be the basis for the Ombudsman to initiate a criminal action for malversation of public funds. There was also a finding in 2013 COA Annual Audit Report, Mr. Speaker, that the PhilHealth Board, which then included now Senator Risa Ontiveros, granted 1.76 billion peso illegal bonuses to the officers and employees of said agency, despite the issuance of previous notices of disallowance and despite COA's repeated decisions sustaining those actions. The COA also affirmed that the board resolution granting said bonuses were not submitted to the Office of the President through the DBM for approval, as required under Section 6 of Presidential Decree number 1597. In 2014, I recall that based on the 2014 COA Annual Audit Report, COA revealed that it was revealed to the media that the DILG has yet to account for more than 7 billion pesos worth of funds transferred for various projects implemented under the term of then Secretary Mar Rojas. Also, we need to find out what happened to the initial findings of COA that 625 million funds were released to senior citizens with double entries. It was also mentioned in the 2013 or 2015 COA audit report that another cash advance related to APEC meeting amounting to 1 billion pesos remain unliquidated to this day by the DILG. And so, what happened to these findings in 2013, 2014, and 2015, Mr. Speaker? Why were these anomalies not subjected to Senate investigations and teleserye? And why did not the mainstream media relentlessly report this, like what they do so flamboyantly today? And why this selective attention, if not selective memory? The answer is very obvious, Madam Speaker. The COA findings I mentioned earlier were still far away from the next election at the time they were reported for the people to notice. Enterprising politicians know only too well that they will not earn any point in doing so. Unlike today, Madam Speaker, the elections are but 7 days or 7 months away, and the prospective candidates find no better time to politicize them. Make louder noise about them, and be heard. Unfortunately, Madam Speaker, we're still in the middle of the pandemic, where a well-coordinated, cohesive, and a collective will, with the full support of a united citizenry, is the only chance for us to survive and defeat these national scourge with the grace of God. Kaya alam po, Madam Speaker, may mga kandidato pa rin po na walang pinipiling panahon, may panalo lang ang kanilang sarili. Bigyan po natin ito ng isang akmang paghahalimbawa. Nasa kasagsagan at kasalukuyang nasusunog ang malaking bahagi ng isang komunidad. Kasabay ng sunog ay ang balita na overpriced pala ang pagkakabili ng mga truck na pamatay sunog. Ipinatawag ni Candidate A ang pinuno ng mga bumbero upang ituloy ang investigasyon, kumalat man ang apoy at matupok ang maraming mga kabahayan. Bakit po? Dahil ito ay tiyak na makasisira sa reputasyon ni Candidate B na kaibigan ng supplier ng fire trucks na kalaban niya sa eleksyon at pambato ng administrasyon. The 2020 Annual Audit Report is the case in point. Released sometime in June this year, it covered several departments, DILG, DSWD, DepEd, DA, DOTR, DOH, and a score of others more, Madam Speaker. But why was the media blitz focused only on the DOH? First, because the COA arbitrarily trumpeted that the 67.3 billion pesos spent by the DOH in battling the pandemic was allegedly attended by deficiencies. Secondly, because the DOH is in the eye of the storm, being the principal agency that leads the battle against the pandemic in several fronts. The staggering amount alone alarmed the people, but the sweeping COA conclusions like the problem exposed DOH's inability to safeguard, manage, and utilize health funds and resources economically and effectively, or the conclusion that the failure to spend its budget deprived the poor citizens of basic health services and could have saved many lives. These conclusions, Madam Speaker, scandalized the entire nation. It was too late in the day when COA explained that there was no money lost to corruption because it came after the damage had been done. Before DOH could even present the status report within the time frame allotted by COA itself, nawarak na ito. And the political wannabes hastily seized the opportunity to join the election bandwagon to grandstand and to look so righteous. There must be governing principles to make COA a tenable instrument of public administration and governance. In its own website, COA maintains that it is constitutionally mandated to ensure accountability for public resources, promote transparency, and help improve government operations in partnership with stakeholders for the benefit of the Filipino people. But how can COA fulfill this mandate when all it does is to present annual audits of agencies by year end or after the completion of given projects and programs? And these annual reports have become too boring and commonplace because of COA's traditional post-audit system that will perhaps stay for 1,000 years more unless our state auditors wake up and learn to innovate. It is generally held, Madam Speaker, that the government is too big to fail, precisely because it is not its nature to go broke. As either the role of a guardian or a spender, government is reposed a duty inherently complicated under the present circumstances, the pandemic. It is easily caught in a fiscal panic, essentially because of the rigid fiscal environment, of limited resources that are beyond more and more challenged by a problem of supply chain beyond our control. The politicizing of COA reports betrayed the principles of the so-called politics administration dichotomy. At the proper time, Madam Speaker, COA may have to revisit its rules, procedures, methodologies, and even techniques in the conduct of its constitutional duty. It might even have to change its intellectual handle on how it does public management in the face of a pandemic that brought about unprecedented consequences. It is only unfortunate that while we generally lay credence to the audits on one hand, it seems that COA has easily lent itself to pointing finger on the other hand. The next question will be, who will audit the state auditors to prevent this politics administration dichotomy from being compromised or even violated? The government response to the pandemic has preoccupied its entire machinery. The interagency task force was created with no less than the President on top of the situation with calibrated legislative support. But the task becomes so complicated, overwhelming, and onerous when the laws and regulations are so precise that they deny bureaucracies enough latitude in carrying out the law, according to an expert in public policy. COA's findings can be used to strengthen internal controls and operational efficiency and good governance, but it must innovate in order to prevent, not only to report, irregular, extravagant, and unconscionable expenditures. Given the express mandate in Article 9D, Section 2, Paragraphs 1 and 2 of the Philippine Constitution. State auditors must resist the tug of watchdogs and must recognize the need for improvement rather than posturing as know-it-all experts. Madam Speaker, according to H. George Frederickson, eminent fellow of the National Academy of Public Administration in the United States, the ongoing dynamics within the range of political and administrative values should not be one of conflict, compromise, and change, but rather one of harmony, cooperation, and continuity. Sometimes departments are best enabled when certain procedural constraints that agencies are supposed to rigidly observe are liberalized when conditions so warranted. After all, COA's rules and procedures
Ma'am BH,
are not written in stones. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we refer the speech of Honorable Deputy Speaker Rodante Marcoleta we refer to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action. So move, Madam Speaker.
Are there any objections? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Session suspended.
Session resumed. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I now move that the gentleman from the First District of Ilocos Sur be recognized to avail of the privilege hour. Representative Deogracias Victor D.B. Sabellano.
The Deputy Speaker, D.B. Sevillano, is hereby recognized.
Madam Speaker, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Today, I rise on a question of personal and collective privilege to denounce in the strongest terms possible a heinous crime that strongly indicts our country's criminal justice system. What our country become, Madam Speaker, esteemed colleagues, have become a nation of lawlessness, crime, and violence. Have we become a nation where people settle scores with guns and bullets? Have we lost in the faith of legal processes and mechanisms of redressing grievances that we employ power of the gun to attain our ends? I ask this, Madam Speaker, honorable colleagues, with a grieving heart and sadness because I still believe that we are a nation of laws and not of violent men. But the murder of a very good friend, a political ally, a fellow crusader against graft and corruption in my district compelled me to rise today to question the state of our criminal justice system. It is scary and troubling, dear colleagues, how life can be snuffed around by those with a gun in hand. The senseless and brutal murder of Mr. Floylander Lander Agdepa last April 22 is a serious case of a breakdown in law and order. Mr. Agdepa, for the information of his august body, filed several criminal, administrative, and graft and corruption cases before the Ombudsman against ex-Mayor Glenn Guzman, Mayor Shian Guzman, and SB member Blaine Guzman, all of Sinait, Ilocos Sur. Thus, being a staunch critic of those ruling in power and using our legal and justice system as a remedy to curb graft and corruption practices, warrant the taking of person's life so to render that person a lifeless static and another victim of senseless violence in our country. Has impunity so dominated our perceptions and values that a mere bullet is the answer to that question of how to get rid of obstacles in our path so as to remain in power? Mr. Agdepa, to his last breath, was a man of honor and peace. He believed in the legal and judicial processes in our country's administration of criminal justice. He sought the recourse in the existing institutions of our country that could advance his causes in the court. But impunity defeated him. With multiple bullets searing the back of his body, Mr. Agdepa, another reminder of critical need to re-examine our institutions' work. For one, we need to look in how pillars of our criminal justice work: the police, the investigative bodies, the court, and other agencies tasked to attend to our people's security and welfare. Are these institutions still adherent to their constitutional mandates? Worse, have they been corrupted and co-opted by the powers that have been? Worse, have they been used by people in power as mercenaries so as to perpetuate on the throne. The murder of Mr. Agdepa could have been carried out by people on peripheries. He was murdered on orders of those in power who view him as formidable block to their criminal intents and activities. Mr. Agdepa will not be deterred and we will continue your fight against graft and corruption. We will not be silenced by those ruling in power as if their municipality is their own kingdom. It is for this reason, Madam Speaker and esteemed colleagues, that I stand before you to declare that we need to put an end to this impunity. To this August chamber, I call upon the instruments of the state, the National Bureau of Investigation, the Philippine National Police, and the courts to move as one so that we can stop this impunity that make our people lose faith in our government. Today, Mr. Speaker, esteemed colleagues, I call upon each and every one of you to help me restore the faith of our people, the legal system of our country. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good afternoon.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we refer the speech of Deputy Speaker De Gracias Victor Sabellano to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action.
Referred to the Committee on Rules. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we terminate the privilege hour.
Ano daw? There's a motion. Hearing no objection. Motion is approved. Majority Leader. Ay, oo. Session suspended.
Walang interpolation, close lang yun. Meron individual lang. So, ako nag-rally.
Ease of paying taxes. Ito? Ito ba yun? Sinabi ni Kaloy? Okay. Thank you. Siyempre, hindi ko alam. Thank you.
Session resumed. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we resume consideration for approval on second reading of House Bill 8942 as found in Committee Report 826. And could the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the measure? So moved, Madam Speaker.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the bill.
House Bill number 8942, an act introducing administrative tax reforms, amending sections 21, 22, 51, 56, 58, 77, 81, 19, 91, 103, 106, 108, 109, 110, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 128, 200, 236, 237, 245, and 248, and adding section 291 of Republic Act number 8424, otherwise known as the National Internal Revenue Code of 1997 as amended.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, our parliamentary status regarding House Bill 8942 is that we are in the period of sponsorship and debate. I move for the recognition of our honorable sponsor, the esteemed lady from the 1st District of Nueva Ecija, Vice Chair of the Committee on Ways and Means, the Honorable Estrelita Ging Swansing as the sponsor of this measure. So moved, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Estrelita Swansing is recognized.
Madam Speaker, we are just waiting for our esteemed sponsor who has already previously delivered her sponsorship speech.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much, Majority Leader. In behalf of our Chairman of the Committee on Ways and Means, I am sponsoring the said bill.
Madam Speaker, the bill having been sponsored previously and with none of our colleagues wishing to debate the sponsors, I move to close the period of sponsorship and debate on House Bill 8942. So move, Madam Speaker.
Are there any objections? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.
Madam Speaker, I move that we open the period of amendments on House Bill 8942. So move, Madam Speaker.
Are there any objections? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.
Madam Speaker, there being no committee amendments to House Bill 8942, I move to close the period of committee amendments on House Bill 8942. So move, Madam Speaker.
Are there any objections? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.
Madam Speaker, I move that we open the period of individual amendments to House Bill 8942. So move, Madam Speaker.
Are there any objections? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.
Madam Speaker, I move to recognize for his individual amendments the Honorable Gentleman from the party list PBA, the Honorable Coco Nograles. So move, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Jericho Coco Nograles is recognized.
Madam Speaker, we have been informed that the Zoom connection of the Honorable Nograles has been cut, so we are trying to reestablish it. Please give us a few minutes. I move for a few minutes suspension, Madam Speaker.
Session suspended. Session resumed. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, we are currently in consideration of House Bill 8942. Our parliamentary status is that we are in the period of individual amendments. We have recognized both the sponsor, the Honorable Ma'am Ging Swan Sing, and we have recognized for his amendments the Honorable Coco Nograles. The Honorable Coco Nograles has the floor, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Coco Nograles is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Majority Leader. I move, subject to the acceptance of the Honorable Sponsor, I move to amend the bill's title to include a new section 292 by changing the phrase section 291 after the word adding to sections 291 and 292. Will that be acceptable, Madam Speaker?
The Honorable Ging Swan Sing. Does the sponsor accept the amendments? The Honorable Ging Swan Sing, you're recognized.
Madam Speaker, we accept the proposed amendment.
What does the House say?
Madam Speaker, we second the motion in favor of the amendment.
Are there any objection? The chair sees none. The motion is approved.
Likewise, Madam Speaker, if I may move to amend as well. subject to the acceptance. Three more items. First of all is on page 16 under section 28, creating a new title, title 13. Amend the following. On line 24, change title 13 to title 14. On line 26, change title 13 to title 14. Likewise, Madam Speaker, secondly, on page 17 under section 28, creating a new title 13 on the rights of taxpayers. Insert a new section 292 after line 19 to read as follows. Section 292, Taxpayers Advocate Office. The Office of the Tax Advocate is hereby created under the supervision and control of the Department of Finance and independent from the Bureau of Internal Revenue. Its powers and duties shall include: 1. Ensure that the rights of the taxpayers are protected and provide assistance to the taxpayers in relation thereto. 2. Identify systemic problems within the Bureau of Internal Revenue which hampers efficient and fair tax administration and propose these changes therein to mitigate identified problems, whether administrative or legislative in nature. 3. Report directly to the Commissioner of Internal Revenue outputs and outcomes that result in the execution of its duties and coordinate its other functions such as, but not limited to, the development and implementation of programs that will help educate taxpayers and effectively disseminate the taxpayers' Bill of Rights. 4. Perform such other functions as may be provided by law or required by the Secretary of Finance. And the third, Madam Speaker, on page 17, under section 29, amend the following. On line 20, change title 13 to title 14, to title 14 and title 15. On line 21, change title 14 to title 15, to title 15 and title 16. If that should be acceptable to the sponsor, Madam Speaker.
What does the sponsor say?
Madam Speaker, we accept the proposed amendments.
Are there any objections from the House?
Madam Speaker, we join the Honorable Nograles in moving to accept the amendment. So move, Madam Speaker.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, the amendment is hereby approved.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Majority Leader.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there being no other individual amendments, I move that we close the period of individual amendments on House Bill 8942. So move, Madam Speaker.
Are there any objections? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.
Madam Speaker, I move for the approval on second reading of House Bill 8942. So move, Madam Speaker.
Are there any objections? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.
All those in favor, ma'am. All those in favor say aye.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those are against say nay. Ayes have it. House Bill 8942 is hereby approved on second reading.
Madam Speaker, I move to begin consideration for approval on second reading of House Bill 9948. And could the Secretary General be directed to read the title of said House Bill number 9948? So move, Madam Speaker.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the bill.
House Bill number 9948, an act establishing the national framework for water resource management and creating the Department of Water Resources and the Water Regulatory Commission, defining their mandates, powers, and functions, and appropriating funds therefore.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we recognize the esteemed chairman of the Committee on Government Reorganization from the 5th District of Batangas, the Honorable Mario Vittorio Marvi Marino. So moved, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Marvy Marino is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. If you can hear me, may I proceed?
You may proceed, the Honorable Marvy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Uh, Honorable Speaker, Lord Alan Velasco, my dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I have the honor to sponsor House Bill number 9948, otherwise known as the National Water Act, under Committee Report 1115. Let me first emphasize why we need this bill right now. We all recognize that water and sanitation, given its crucial role in economic growth, productivity, health, and poverty reduction, are crucial lifelines of the economy and society. The current COVID-19 pandemic further underscores the importance of water and sanitation services and facilities as means of mitigating the spread of the virus among communities. However, the provision of safe, adequate, and sustainable water and sanitation services depends on the proper utilization and management of the country's water resources. Population growth and urbanization greatly increases land use changes and demand to infrastructure development. These activities, when poorly regulated, can contribute to water pollution, over-extraction of water sources, deforestation, and impacts of climate change, among others. All these cause unfavorable hydrological and ecological changes, including irreversible effects such as land, subsidence, and saltwater intrusion, further increasing the pressure on water resources. If not addressed or averted, this will have serious implications on water availability and integrity, health, and food security. ADB and NWRB studies showed that population and the corresponding growth in consumption, such as food, services, shelter, and its resulting pollution, are straining the country's freshwater resources to near crisis levels. Water pollution also poses a significant problem, especially in urban water bodies, due to unregulated discharge of wastewater, with 48% coming from domestic sources. Untreated wastewater translate to significant economic losses from its detrimental effect on human health, environment, water availability and integrity, productivity, and income. According to a World Bank study in 2011, the estimated economic cost of poor sanitation stands at 77.8 billion pesos annually, equivalent to about 1.5% of the country's gross domestic product. This translated to per capita losses of 923 pesos per year, of which health impacts represented about 72%, economic impact on water resources at 23%, and decreased welfare and tourism receipts at 5%. Likewise, as reported by the DOH in 2018, waterborne diseases such as gastroenteritis, diarrhea, typhoid, cholera, dysentery, and hepatitis consistently rank as the seventh or eighth leading cause of morbidity in the country. The Philippines has many water-related laws with the Water Code, Clean Water Act, and the Supreme Court mandamus for Manila Bay cleanup, among others, but the enforcement is weak and beset with inadequate resources, poor database, and weak cooperation among different agencies and LGUs. Aside from water pollution affecting our water bodies, more than 57% of the major watersheds are critically denuded, which means loss of water infiltration and slow recharging of water tables. Nationwide, cities like Manila, Cebu, Davao, Zamboanga, Iloilo, and Baguio are constantly facing water shortages. The World Resources Institute, WRI, also ranked the Philippines 57th among 167 countries studied, predicting a high degree of water shortage by 2040. Further exacerbating the situation are the effects of climate change, as can be seen in longer drought periods, and on the other side of the coin, intensified typhoons and heavier monsoons, both of which have substantial costs on water availability and quality. Typhoon Ulysses in 2020 brought significant damage to agriculture infrastructure estimated at 20.2 billion pesos. These losses are also attributed to poor water resource management, depleted forests, and lack of coordination among concerned government entities. The cost of water treatment because of affected water sources and distribution systems has also been substantial. Notably, the faster the depletion of water resources and the more denuded the watershed is, the higher the costs needed for developing water infrastructure systems. We would need further we will need further water sources, longer transmission lines, costlier water treatment, or desalination processes. Meanwhile, there's also the poor economic regulation and performance monitoring of water service providers, characterized by weak enforcement of service expansion targets, performance standards, customer satisfaction, and irrational tariff setting for some utilities that fall prey to political pressures. Not surprisingly, the sector has been besieged with low investments, high operating inefficiencies, and poor delivery service. With more than 27,000 water service providers as recorded by NWRB, such is a reflection of workarounds because the main service providers are not able to meet the demand for water supply and sanitation services in a timely manner. Abate Limited, a benchmarking study done by World Bank in 2005, showed that self-regulating LGU-run utilities are the poorest performers. In contrast, those that are regulated, such as a private concessionaire, and water districts, are the better performers. Regulation can play an important role in sector reform, as identified in a recent study conducted by the Philippine Institute for Development Studies in 2020. The WRC is envisioned to be an independent institution that will enforce common standards across all service providers, require rational tariffs, and prevent monopoly abuse. House Bill 9948, which will create a Department of Water Resources, or DWR, and a Water Regulatory Commission, WRC, aims to address the fragmentation in the water resource sector by rationalizing all water-related functions in the government and the separating resource regulation from economic regulation of water. The DWR shall be primarily responsible for the development and implementation of a comprehensive water development and management plan for the country. Meanwhile, the WRC shall provide overall economic regulatory policy and direction setting, with its regulatory units issuing the licenses and setting the charges based on its harmonized standards and guidelines. Global studies include the Philippines, compiled by the United Nations and the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, reported an average benefit cost ratio of 2.0 for improved drinking water and 5.5 for improved sanitation from investments in water supply, sanitation, and hygiene. WHO also estimated that the economic benefits of every dollar invested in water and sanitation services contribute to overall gain of 1.5% of global GDP and a return of 4.3 US dollars. Given that benefits of providing adequate and sustainable water and sanitation services far outweigh the cost of provision, improving access to, and proper management of too big or is too big a concern that should be taken for granted. Inaction brings us even greater costs. The economic benefits of having the Department of Water Resources, and the Water Regulatory Commission will come from improved coordination, enforcement of policies, and economic resource regulations, as well as the rational prioritization and allocation of public sector and investments to address and avert costs of poor water resources management and adequate water and sanitation provisioning. The implementation of recommended policy, regulatory, and institutional reforms through their creation could be the practical pathway for government to pursue. We cannot stay business as usual in terms of water resource management. Opting for the status quo will have significant cost implications that increases over time. Likewise, we cannot afford to lose the race against time. It will also be an injustice to many Filipinos not to meet the Sustainable Development Goal universal access target. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, along with the members of the Committee of the Government Reorganization, let us not wait for another water crisis to happen before addressing the fundamental institutional problems causing the subpar state of water resources. We ask for your support and the immediate passage of this highly significant legislative measure. And before I end, I'd like to thank the Committee on Public Works and Highways, headed by the Chairman, Leandro Jesus Madrona, of course, the Chairman of the Committee on Ways and Means, Joey Salceda, and Chairman of Committee on Appropriations, Eric Yap, and the heads of the TWG and the committee members. Maraming salamat po, Madam Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, for his sponsorship of the measure, I move that we recognize our esteemed Chairman of the Committee on Ways and Means, the gentleman from the 2nd District of Albay, the Honorable Joey Salceda. So moved, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Joey Salceda is recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Lord Alan Velasco, my dear colleagues here in Congress, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Committee Chair Marino of the Committee on Government Reorganization has already laid out the harsh realities of the water sector in the country right now. As I stand here today, 1 in every 10 Filipino lacks access to safe, potable water, and 2 every 10 municipalities are considered waterless. Only 1 in every 5 water utilities provide piped water supply considered as the safest source, and 1 in every 25 or 4 million still practice open defecation, and 23 of 25 Filipino households do not have access to sewerage system. These realities hold during a pandemic where the reliable supply of water for sanitation and drinking is crucial to survival. Added to this, more than 57% of our major watersheds are critically denuded, and many localities experience frequent water-related issues such as water shortages and floods, and droughts attributed to poor water resource management. The last comprehensive national water resource study was done in 1998, which found that the per capita water availability is 1,446 cubic meters per year, which is already close to the definition of water scarcity of 1,700 cubic meters per capita per year. We are not short of policies, laws, and institutions on water, but an enabling environment resulting in inequalities and inefficiencies need to be corrected to drive investments in the water sector. The correct institutional setup in the water and sanitation sector involves more than 30 institutions, but there is no apex body that provides overall management and accountability. This has resulted in overlaps and at the same time gaps in mandates, incoherent and uncoordinated plans, programs, and activities. Surely, addressing sector fragmentation and strengthening planning and regulation are critical reforms to ensure the country's water secure future. House Bill number 9948 or the National Water Act embodies our objectives to meet a basic human right, access to safe, adequate, affordable, and sustainable water supply, and improved sanitation services, while maintaining the integrity of our country's water resources and ecological balance. The essence of this bill is to establish a responsive government structure that will function as the overall apex body for the highly fragmented institutional and management landscape of the country's water sector. As with all bills that I helped through by being the PWG chair, we studied the international comparatives to determine what has worked in other countries. The presence of an apex body in water management has worked spectacularly well in water-scarce countries like the Netherlands and Israel. These countries are not rich in water, but they are now known worldwide for having the best practices in water management, and their water-related technologies and frameworks and industries are the envy of the world. Singapore's world-renowned water management framework is also an inspiration for this bill. The Public Utilities Board of the city-state manages the entire water cycle. The country undertook a very similar reform that we are now tackling. In 2001, agency functions for sewerage and drainage were transferred to the PUB from the Ministry of the Environment, similar to our bill's approach. This allowed the PUB to develop and implement a holistic policy, including protection and expansion of water resources, catchment, demand, stormwater and wastewater management, desalination, and public education and awareness programs. The National Water Act will rationalize the mandates and functions of the multiple water-related government institutions for comprehensive and integrated identification and mapping of all water resources, planning, policy formulation, management of ownership, appropriation, development, investment programming, and protection of the country's water resources and their optimal and efficient use for domestic water supply, sanitation, irrigation, hydropower, flood management, and recreation through effective economic and resource regulation. The proposed Department of Water Resources will also be the primary agency responsible for the planning and policy formulation for the attainment of the country's sustainable development goals for universal access to safely managed water supply and sanitation services. At this juncture, allow me to point out that the same tax reforms under Republic Act 114467, which the Committee on Ways and Means principally sponsored and defended, help fund these goals. 20% of incremental revenues from the law are earmarked towards SDGs, and this can be a potent source of funding for access to water under the SDGs. The department will be the primary national agency to enforce the Philippine Water Code and Clean Water Act of 2004. It will review, approve, and provide oversight over all water-related development plans and programs to ensure their consistency with integrated water resources management. The strategic framework for a coordinated water and land management policymaking and planning, and overall national plans and programs. The department will also coordinate the currently unintegrated intersectoral, interagency, interdepartmental data gathering and management of all water-related information and will serve as its central repository. Another structural measure of the bill is the establishment of a separate water regulatory commission, just like ERC is to DOE, as an independent quasi-judicial regulatory agency attached to the department. The Commission will assume the economic regulatory units and functions of the MWSS, the NWRB, LWA, all specific economic zones, special economic zone, covering permitting and licensing of water service provision, rate setting, benchmarking, and monitoring of water service, performance, imposition of sanctions, and other quasi-judicial functions. It will also put under its jurisdiction local government unit LGU-run utilities heretofore self-regulating according to Section 154, Article 5 of Republic Act 7160 or the Local Government Code. The establishment of the WRC is potentially game-changing for adequate and better service. Effective economic regulation is a powerful driver for service expansion and improvement. Rational tariff setting that considers social equity, cost recovery, as well as water demand management, or pricing that discourage the wasteful use of scarce water resources. The bill further calls for the creation of a water trust fund in the Bureau of Treasury from raw water pricing permits, registration, supervision and regulation, and enforcement fees, filing fees, and other fees from the use of water resources. The fund will be tapped for water supply and sanitation development, wastewater treatment and management, and water sustainability programs and projects authorized by the department. Contrary to the impression of many, this bill does not merely seek the creation of new institutions in the sector, but instead seeks to reorganize existing institutions and streamline the fragmented nature of the sector. Hence, with integration and rationalization as the key intent, the establishment of the Department of Water Resources and Water Regulatory Commission will not be a major outlay. The amount necessary for the organization of the department and its initial operation shall be charged against its current year's appropriations of the agency's offices transferred and subsumed under its auspices. Annual appropriation will also approximate current allocations. Mr. Speaker, we must act with urgency before it's too late. Water is a critical resource that must be developed and managed well, be it in water supply and sanitation, irrigation, or flood control and management. The importance of water in our lives is without question. We simply cannot survive without water. It is a basic human need. Our experience with the COVID-19 pandemic highlighted that water is central to ensuring people's health, hygiene, and sanitation. That is why after Mass, we always say, wash your hands. Water for irrigation use is important to achieving food security and agricultural development in the country. Without effective flood control and management, this resource could also destroy properties and worse, claim lives. Nonetheless, Mr. Speaker, while we often say that water is life, sadly, it is the water sector that is often taken for granted the most. We seem to perceive that water is without limit and will always be delivered to us whenever we need it. In reality, this is not the case. And as our honorable colleague, the chair of our chairperson, Congressman Marino, has properly pointed out, now is the time to come up with a long-term solution and address once and for all the fundamental institutional weaknesses hounding our country's water sector. We cannot just prioritize this bill whenever urgent, critical issues in the sector arise and are highlighted in public domain, or when there are severe flooding and water scarcity and shortages in some countries, in some areas of the country. We cannot act on this only when another water crisis hits. We need this bill now, Mr. Speaker, if not more than ever. If Admittedly, this piece of legislation is not a panacea to the problems confronting the water sector. Nevertheless, just like how all architectural and structural masterpieces are built from the ground up, we need to focus first on the foundation before anything else. This bill, Mr. Speaker, and my colleagues in Congress, will build and strengthen our water sector's foundation. It is a major step in reforming our government's institutions for better and more effective planning, policy making, and regulation. In the face of climate change and other challenges, an integrated approach to water resource management is fundamental. In fact, it is existential. Our water resources are indeed abundant, but again, these are not limitless and must therefore be better utilized and sustainably used to their deepest potential. Thus, I humbly ask my dear colleagues to support the immediate passage of this legislative measure. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and again, good afternoon. Thank you very much.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, as none other of our colleagues have registered to sponsor, Madam Speaker, I move that we suspend the period of sponsorship and debate on House Bill 9948. So moved, Madam Speaker.
Hearing no objection, motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we suspend consideration of House Bill 9948. So moved, Madam Speaker.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Madam Speaker, I move now for the consideration for approval on second reading of House Bill 9950. And could the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the same? So move, Madam Speaker.
Secretary General is directed to do so.
House Bill number 9950, an act authorizing the Department of Agriculture to provide for direct cash assistance to farmers who are tilling 2 hectares and below of rice land until 2024 and use for the purpose the annual tariff revenues in excess of 10 billion of the Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund created under Republic Act number 11203, entitled an act liberalizing the importation and exportation and trading of rice, lifting for the purpose the quantitative import restriction on rice and for other purposes.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we recognize the esteemed sponsor for his sponsorship speech, our Deputy Majority Leader, the Honorable Yul Servo. So moved, Madam Speaker.
Deputy Majority Leader Yul Servo is now recognized.
Madam Speaker, I move that the explanatory note be sponsorship speech.
Okay. Okay. No problem, boss. Sandali. Okay, boss.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there being none of our colleagues who has indicated a desire to interpellate the sponsor, I move that we close the period of sponsorship and debate on House Bill 9950. So move, Madam Speaker.
Hearing no objection, the period of sponsorship and debate is hereby terminated. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we open the period of amendments on House Bill 9950. So move, Madam Speaker.
Hearing no objection, the period of amendment is now open.
Madam Speaker, there being neither committee nor individual amendments, I move to close the period of amendments on House Bill 9950.
Hearing no objection, the period of amendments is hereby terminated.
Madam Speaker, I move for the approval on second reading of House Bill 9950. So moved, Madam Speaker.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against say nay. The ayes have it. House Bill 9950 is hereby approved on second reading. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we begin consideration of House Bill 10057 as found in Committee Report 1157, and could the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the same? So move, Madam Speaker.
Secretary General is directed to do so.
House Bill 10057, an act strengthening the conservation and protection of Philippine cultural heritage through cultural mapping and enhanced cultural heritage education program, amending for the purpose Republic Act 10066, otherwise known as the National Cultural Heritage Act of 2009.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we recognize the esteemed sponsor of the measure, the gentleman from the 3rd District of Manila, our esteemed Deputy Majority Leader, the Honorable Yul Servo. So move, Madam Speaker.
Deputy Majority Yul Servo is now recognized.
Madam Speaker, I move that the explanatory note of House Bill 10057 be sponsorship speech.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, since none of our colleagues have indicated a desire to interpellate the sponsor, I move to close the period of sponsorship and debate on House Bill 10057. So move, Madam Speaker.
Hearing no objection, the period of sponsorship and debate for House Bill 9950 is hereby terminated.
Madam Speaker, I move that we open the period of amendments on House Bill 10057. So move, Madam Speaker.
Hearing no objection, the period of amendments is hereby open.
Madam Speaker, there being neither committee nor individual amendments, I move that we close the period of amendments of House Bill 10057. So move, Madam Speaker.
Hearing no objection, period of amendments is now terminated.
Madam Speaker, I move for the approval on second reading of House Bill 10057. So move, Madam Speaker.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against say nay. The ayes have it. House Bill number 10057 is hereby approved on second reading. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move for the consideration for approval on second reading of House Bill 9970 as contained in Committee Report 1121, and could the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the same? So
The
moved, Madam
Secretary
Speaker.
General is directed to do so.
House Bill number 9970, an act designating the city of General Santos as a lone legislative district in the province of South Cotabato, amending for the purpose Republic Act number 11243, entitled an act reapportioning the first legislative district of the province of South Cotabato, thereby creating the lone legislative district of General Santos City.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we recognize the esteemed sponsor of this measure, the gentleman from the 3rd District of Manila, our Deputy Majority Leader, the Honorable Yul Servonieto. So moved, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Yul Servo is hereby recognized.
Madam Speaker, I move that the explanatory note of House Bill 9970 as being a sponsorship speech.
Madam Speaker, there being no other of our colleagues who has indicated a desire to interpellate the sponsor, I move that we terminate the period of sponsorship and debate on House Bill 9970. So move, Madam Speaker.
Hearing no objection, the period of sponsorship and debate for House Bill number 9970 is hereby terminated. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we open the period of amendments for House Bill 9970. So move, Madam Speaker.
Hearing no objection, motion is approved.
Madam Speaker, there being neither committee nor individual amendments, I move that we terminate the period of amendments for House Bill 9970.
Hearing no objection, period of amendment is hereby terminated.
Madam Speaker, I move for the approval on second reading of House Bill 9970. So move, Madam Speaker.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against say nay. The ayes have it. House Bill 9970 is hereby approved on second reading. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we begin consideration for approval on second reading House Bill 10021 as found in Committee Report 1154. Could the Secretary General be directed to read the title of said measure? So
The
moved.
Secretary General is directed to do so.
House Bill number 10021, an act reapportioning the province of South Cotabato into 3 legislative districts and separating the city of General Santos from the 3rd legislative district of the province of South Cotabato to constitute the lone legislative district of the city of General Santos, repealing for the purpose Republic Act number 11243, entitled an act reapportioning the 1st legislative district of the province of South Cotabato, thereby creating the lone legislative district of General Santos City.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, for his sponsorship speech, I move that we recognize the esteemed gentleman from the 3rd District of Manila, Deputy Majority Leader Yul Servo. So move, Madam Speaker.
Deputy Majority Leader Yul Servo is now recognized.
Madam Speaker, I move that the explanatory note be a sponsorship speech.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there being no member who wishes to interpellate the sponsor, I move to terminate the period of sponsorship and debate of House Bill 10021. So moved, Madam Speaker.
Hearing no objection, the period of sponsorship and debate for House Bill 10021 is hereby terminated.
Madam Speaker, I move that we open the period of amendments. So moved, Madam Speaker.
Hearing no objection, period of amendment is open.
Madam Speaker, there being neither committee nor individual amendments, I move that we close the period of amendments. So moved, Madam Speaker.
Hearing no objection, period of amendments is terminated.
Madam Speaker, I move for the approval on second reading of House Bill 10021. So moved, Madam Speaker.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against say nay. The ayes have it. House Bill number 10021 is hereby approved on second reading. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move for the consideration on third and final reading of House Bill 8927, and for this purpose, may I request the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the bill and thereafter to call the roll for nominal voting. I so move, Madam Speaker.
The Secretary General is hereby directed to do so.
House Bill number 8927, an act penalizing the smuggling of foreign currency and other monetary instruments in bulk into or out of the Philippines. Roll call of members in consideration on third reading of House Bill number 8927. Abante, Abaya, Abellanosa, Abueg Saldivar, Abunda, Acosta, Acosta Alba, Adyong, Advincula, Agabas, Agaraw, Aglipay, Aguinaldo, Albano, Almario, Alonte, Alvarez Franz, Alvarez Genaro, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amante Matba, Amatong, Angara, Aragones, Arbison, Arenas, Arroyo, Atienza, Aumentado, Babasa, Bagatsing, Balindong, Banyas Nograles, Barba, Barbers, Baronda, Barzaga, Baskug, Bautista, Bautista Bandigan, Belmonte, Benitez, Bernos, Biazon, Billones, Biron, Bolilia, Bondok, Bordado, Bravo, Brosas, Bulot, Bustos, Kabatbat, Kabochan, Cabredo, Cagas, Calderon, Calixto, Caminero, Campos, Canama, Kawagdan, Cardema, Cari, Castelo, Castro Franz, Castro Fredenil, Cayetano Alan Peter, Cayetano Mariela Arni, Celeste, Chato, Chipeco, Chungalao, Co Angelica, Co Elizaldi, Co Juanco, Coliantes, Crisologo, Cua, Quaresma, Cueva, Culyamat, Dagook, Dalipe, Dalog, Daza, De Jesus, De Venecia, Defensor Lawrence, Defensor Michael, De Los Santos, Deloso Montalia, Dimaporo Abdullah, Dimaporo Khalid, Duavit, Duhali, Duterte, D. Faustino Ino, D. Faustino Michael, D. Ian, Ebcas, Ecleo, Elago, Enverga, Erice, Erigel, Ermita Buhain, Escudero, Espina, Espino, Estrella, Fariñas, Ria, Fariñas, Rudy Cesar, Fernandez, Fernando, Ferrer Juliet, Ferrer Luis, Flores, Fortuno, Frasco, Fuentebella, Gaite, Garbin, Garcia Jose Enrique, Garcia Pablo Jan, Garcia Vincent, Garin Janet, Garin Sharon, Gasataya, Gatchalian, Gato, Heron, Go Ed, Go Mark, Gonzaga, Gonzales Aurelio, Gonzales Neptali, Gonzales Sandro, Goriseta, Gico, Gulyas, Guya, Haresco, Hataman, Hernandez, Herrera D, Hofer, Halosos, Javier, Jimenez, Co Eliza, Co Wilton, Konghun, Labad-Labad, Lacson, Lacson Noel, Lagman, Lagon, Lara, Lazatin, Liachon, Legarda, Lim, Lim Kaichong, Lopez, Loyola, Luzotan, Macapagal Arroyo, Maceda, Madrona, Malapitan, Mangawang, Mangudadatu, Marcoleta, Mariano Hernandez, Marinio, Marquez, Martinez, Matba, Matugas, Mendoza, Mercado, Momo, Natividad Naganyo, Nava, Nieto, Noel, Nograles, Jericho, Nograles, Juan, Nolasco, Nunez Malaniaon, Uaminal, Olivares, Ong Jose, Ong Ronnie, Ordanes, Ortega, Uano Dizon, Pacquiao Alberto, Pacquiao Rogelio, Padiernos, Paduano, Palma, Pancho, Panotes, Peña, Pichay, Pimentel, Pineda, Plaza, Puno, Kimbo, Radaza, Ramirez Sato, Remulla, Revilla, Reyes, Rivera, Robes, Rodriguez, Roman, Romero, Romualdez Ferdinand, Romualdez Ieda, Romualdo, Romulo, Roque, Sakdalan, Sagarbaria, Sakaluran, Salceda, Salimbangon, Salo, Sanchez, Sangkopan, Santos Recto, Sarmiento, Saulug, Saveliano, Shaw, Silverio, Singson, Singson Mihan, Sinsuwat, Suansing Estrelita, Suansing Horacio, Suarez Aleta, Suarez David, Suntay, C. Alvarado, Taduran, Talyado, Tambunting, Tan Alaisa, Tan Angelina, Tan Samir, Tan Shari, Tan Sherni, Tejada, Teves Arnolfo, Teves Jose, Tiangco, Tolentino, Torres Gomez, Tulfo, Tupas, Chutor, T. Alan, T. Diego, Umali Alfonso, Umali Maria Victoria, Unabia, Ungab, Uy Juliet, Uy Rolando, Valeriano, Valmayor, Vargas, Vargas Alfonso, Velasco, Veloso, Vergara, Villa, Villafuerte, Villanueva Eduardo, Villanueva Noel, Villar, Villaraza Suarez, Villarica, Villago, Yap Eric, Yap Victor, Yu, Zamora Ronaldo, Zamora Waikurat, Zarate, and Zubiri. Second call for consideration on third reading of House Bill Number 8927. Abante, Abaya, Bellanosa, Saldivar, Abunda, Costa, Costa Alba, Garao, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amatong, Aragones, Aumentado, Bagatsing, Baños Nograles, Bilyones, Biron, Bolilia, Bulot, Canama, Cardema, Cari, Castelo, Cayetano Alan Peter, Cayetano Maria Laarni, Chungalaw, Co Elizalde, Coangco, Cua, Quaresma, Dalipe, De Jesus, De Venecia, Defensor Michael, Dimaporo Cali, Duavit Duhali, Di Faustino Ino, Ebcas, Erice, Espino, Fariñas, Rudy Cesar, Fernandez, Fernando, Fortun, Fortuno, Garbin, Garin Janet, Garin Sharon, Gatchalian, Gonzaga, Gonzales Sandro, Haresco, Co Elisa, Co Wilton, Conghun, Liachon, Mangudadatu, Mariano Hernandez, Marinho, Marquez, Matba, Mendoza, Mercado, Momo, Nograles, Juan, Nunez Malaniao, Nordanes, Pacquiao, Alberto, Panotes, Pichay, Pineda, Romero, Sagarbaria, Salceda, Xiao, Silverio, Singson, Sinsuat, Suarez Aleta, Suarez David, C. Alvarado, Tan Alaisa, Tan Angelina, Tan Samir, Tan Shari, Tan Sherni, Teves Arnolfo, Teves Jose, Tiangco, Tolentino, Torres Gomez, Tulfo, Chutor, T. Alan, Uy Juliet, Veloso, Villafuerte, Villanueva Noel, Villar, Villaraza Suarez, Villarica, and Zubiri.
With 197 members voting in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 0 abstentions, House Bill Number 8927 is hereby approved on third and final reading. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move for the consideration of House Bill 9561, and for this purpose, may I request the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the bill and thereafter to call the roll for nominal voting. I so move, Madam Speaker.
The Secretary General will read the title of the bill, thereafter call the roll for nominal voting.
House Bill Number 9561, an act establishing the Philippine Health Security Council and appropriating funds therefore. Roll call of members in consideration of House Bill Number 9561 on third reading. Representatives Abante, Abaya, Abellanosa, Abu, Abeg Saldivar, Abunda, Acosta, Acosta Alba, Adyom, Advincula, Agabas, Agaraw, Aglipay, Aguinaldo, Albano, Almario, Allonte, Alvarez Franz, Alvarez Genaro, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amante Matba, Amatong, Angara, Aragones, Arbison, Arenas, Arroyo, Atienza, Aumentado, Babasa, Bagatsing, Balindong, Panyas Nograles, Barba, Barbers, Baronda, Barzaga, Baskug, Bautista, Bautista Bandigan, Belmonte, Benitez, Bernos, Biazon, Billones, Biron, Bolilia, Bondok, Bordado, Bravo, Brosas, Bulut, Bustos, Kabatbat, Kabotchan, Cabredo, Cagas, Calderon, Calixto, Caminero, Campos, Canama, Kawagdan, Cardema, Cari, Castelo, Castro Franz, Castro Fredenil, Cayetano Alan Peter, Cayetano Maria Laarni, Celeste, Chato, Chipeco, Chungalaw, Co Angelica, Co Elizalde, Cojuanco, Colliantes, Crisologo, Cua, Quaresma, Cueva, Culyamat, Tagook, Dalipe, Balog, Daza, De Jesus, De Venecia, Defensor Lawrence, Defensor Michael, De Los Santos, De Loso Montalia, Dimaporo Abdullah, Dimaporo Khalid, Duavit, Duhali, Duterte, D. Faustino Ino, D. Faustino Michael, D. Ian, Ebcas, Ecleo, Elago, Enverga, Erice, Erigel, Ermita Buhain, Escudero, Espina, Espino, Estrella, Fariñas Ria, Fariñas Rudy Cesar, Fernandez, Fernando, Ferrer Juliet, Ferrer Luis, Flores, Fortun, Fortuno, Frasco, Fuentebella, Gaite, Garbin, Garcia, Jose Enrique, Garcia Pablo Jan, Garcia Vincent, Garin Janet, Garin Sharon, Gasataya, Gatchalian, Gato, Heron, Go Ed, Go Mark, Gonzaga, Gonzales Aurelio, Gonzales Neptali, Gonzales Sandro, Goriseta, Guico, Gulias, Guya, Haresco, Hataman, Hernandez, Herrera D, Hofer, Haloshos, Javier, Jimenez, Ko Elisa, Ko Wilton, Konggun, Labad-Labad, Lacson, Lacson Noel, Lagman, Lagon, Lara, Lazatin, Leachon, Legarda, Lim, Lim Kaichong, Lopez, Loyola, Lusotan, Makapagal Arroyo, Maceda, Madrona, Malapitan, Mangawang, Mangudadatu, Marcoleta, Mariano Hernandez, Mariño, Marquez, Martinez, Matba, Matugas, Mendoza, Mercado, Momo, Natividad Nagaño, Nava, Nieto, Noel, Nograles Jericho, Nograles Juan, Nolasco, Nunez Malañaon, Oaminal, Olivares, Ong Jose, Ong Ronnie, Ordanes, Ortega, Uano Dizon, Pacquiao Alberto, Pacquiao Rogelio, Padiernos, Paduano, Palma, Pancho, Panotes, Peña, Pichay, Pimentel, Pineda, Plaza, Uno, Kimbo, Radaza, Ramirez Sato, Remulla, Revilla, Reyes, Rivera, Robes, Rodriguez, Roman, Romero, Romualdez Ferdinand, Romualdez Yeda, Romualdo, Romulo, Roque, Sakdalan, Sagarbaria, Sakaluran, Salceda, Salimbangon, Salo, Sanchez, Sangkopan, Saktos Recto, Sarmiento, Saulog, Savellano, Siao, Silverio, Singson, Singson Mihan, Sinsuat, Swansing Estrellita, Swansing Horacio, Suarez Aleta, Suarez David, Suntay C. Alvarado, Paduran, Talyado, Pambunting, Tan Alaisa, Tan Angelina, Tan Samir, Tan Shari, Tan Sherny, Tejada, Teves Arnolfo, Teves Jose, Tiangco, Tolentino, Torres Gomez, Tulfo, Tupas, Tutor, T. Alan, T. Diego, Umali Alfonso, Umali Victoria, Unabia, Ungam, Uy Juliet, Uy Rolando, Valeriano, Valmayor, Vargas, Vargas Alfonso, Velasco, Veloso, Vergara, Villa, Villafuerte, Villanueva Eduardo, Villanueva Noel, Villarasa Suarez, Villarica Violago, Yap Eric, Yap Victor, Yu, Zamora Ronaldo, Zamora Waikurat, Zarate, and Zubiri. Second call in consideration on third reading of House Bill number 9561. Abante, Abaya, Abellanosa, Abeg Saldivar, Abunda, Acosta, Acosta Alba, Agaraw, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amatong, Aragones, Aumentado, Bagatsing, Banyas Nograles, Billones, Biron, Bolilia, Bulot, Canama, Cardema, Cari, Castelo, Cayetano Alan Peter, Cayetano Maria Laarni, Chungalaw, Co Elizaldi, Cojuangco, Cua, Quaresma, Dalipe, De Jesus, De Venecia, Defensor Michael, Timaporo Muhammad Khalid, Duavit, Duhali, D. Faustino, Ebcas, Erice, Espino, Fariñas, Rudy Cesar, Fernandez, Fernando, Fortun, Fortuno, Garbin, Garin Janet, Garin Sharon, Gatchalian, Gonzaga, Gonzales Sandro, Haresco, Ko Elisa, Ko Wilton, Konggun, Leachon, Mangudadatu, Marino, Marquez, Matba, Mendoza, Mercado, Momo, Nograles, Juan Fidel, Nunez Malañaon, Ordanes, Pacquiao Alberto, Panotes, Pichay, Pineda, Romero, Sagarbarria, Salceda, Siao, Silverio, Singson, Sinsuat, Suarez Aleta, Suarez David, C. Alvarado, Tan Alisa Sheena, Tan Angelina, Tan Samir, Tan Sharian, Tan Shirley, Teves Arnolfo, Teves Jose, Tianco, Tolentino, Torres Gomez, Tulfo, Tutor, T. Alan, Uy Juliet, Veloso, Villaferte, Villanueva Noel, Villar, Villaraza Suarez, Villarica, and Subiri.
With 191 members voting in the affirmative, 6 in the negative, and 0 abstentions, House Bill number 9561 is hereby approved on third and final reading. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we recognize Honorable Arlene Brosas of Gabriela Party List to explain her votes.
The Honorable Arlene Brosas is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this representative votes no to House Bill 9561 or the Philippine Health Security Act. Taong 2020, noong nagkaroon ng kaso ng COVID sa ating bansa. Sa halip na solusyong medikal ang maging primaryang tugon ng gobyerno, nagpakalat ito ng mga militar at pulis sa iba't ibang lugar sa Pilipinas. Kaliwat kanan ng checkpoints na ang bantay ay mga sundalo at may dalang mahahabang baril na para bang may gerang pupuntahan, na para bang babarilin nila ang COVID at kaya nila itong agapan. Marami rin sa hanay ng mga sundalo at pulis ang nagkaroon ng COVID, subalit nakabantay pa rin sa mga checkpoints. Nagbunga ang aksyong militar ni Duterte laban sa COVID ng sunod-sunod na sexual abuse and harassments at human rights violations. Pinapaslang ang mamamayang dumadaing dahil sa gutom at hirap. Sinusupil ang bawat Pilipinong pinaglalaban ng kanyang batayang karapatan. Madam Speaker, under this proposed measure, members of the Philippine Health Security Council will include Armed Forces of the Philippines, Philippine National Police, National Defense, and the National Intelligence Coordinating Agency. Furthermore, there is a provision that the chairperson of the council may recommend to the president the enlistment of the AFP to supplement the PNP in enforcing quarantine or transporting emerging infectious disease patients. This proposed measure will militarize health emergencies. Ngayon pa nga lang, nakita na natin na hindi epektibo ang militaristang tugon ng gobyerno, kaya tayo ngayon umabot sa mahigit 2 milyong kaso ng COVID at iba't ibang COVID variants na ang nakarating sa ating bansa. Magre-resulta rin ito sa lalo pang pagtaas ng kaso ng paglabag ng mga pulis at militar sa karapatang pantao. Madam Speaker, this representation firmly believes that health workers should lead our fight against public health emergencies, solusyong medikal at hindi aksyong militar. For these reasons, we vote no to House Bill 9561. Maraming salamat, Madam Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move for the consideration on third and final reading House Bill 9925, and for this purpose may I ask the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the bill and thereafter to call the roll for nominal voting.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the bill.
House Bill number 9925, an act providing monetary compensation to qualified claimants through the Task Force Bangon Marawi for the loss or destruction of residential and commercial properties as a result of the 2017 armed conflict between the armed forces of the Philippines and terrorist groups in Marawi City, Lanao del Sur, and appropriating funds therefore. Roll call of members in consideration on third reading of House Bill number 9925. Abante, Abaya, Abellanosa, Abu, Abueg Saldivar, Abunda, Acosta, Acosta Alba, Adyong, Advincula, Agabas, Agaraw, Aglipay, Aguinaldo, Albano, Almario, Alonte, Alvarez Franz, Alvarez Genaro, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amante Matba, Amatong, Angara, Aragones, Arbison, Arenas, Arroyo, Atienza, Aumentado, Babasa, Bagatsing, Balindong, Banyas Nograles, Barba, Barbers, Baronda, Barzaga, Bascug, Bautista, Bautista Bandigan, Belmonte, Benitez, Bernos, Biazon, Billones, Biron, Bolilla, Bondok, Bordado, Bravo, Brosas, Bulut, Bustos, Kabatbat, Kabotchan, Cabredo, Cagas, Calderon, Calixto, Caminero, Campos, Canama, Cawagdan, Cardema, Cari, Castelo, Castro Franz, Castro Fredenil, Cayetano Alan Peter, Cayetano Maria Laardi, Celeste, Chato, Chipeco, Chungalaw, Co. Angelica, Co. Elizaldi, Cojuangco, Collantes, Crisologo, Cua, Quaresma, Cueva, Culyamat, Dagook, Dalipe, Dalog, Daza, De Jesus, De Venecia, Defensor Lawrence, Defensor Michael, De Los Santos, De Los Montalia, Dimaporo Abdullah, Dimaporo Khalid, Duavit Duhali Duterte, D. Faustino Ino, D. Faustino Michael, D. Ian, Ebcas, Ecleo, Elago, Enverga, Erice, Erigel, Ermita Buhain, Escudero, Espina, Espino, Estrella, Fariñas Ria, Fariñas Rudy, Cesar, Fernandez, Fernando, Ferrer, Juliet, Ferrer, Luis, Flores, Fortun, Fortuno, Frasco, Fuentebella, Gaite, Garbin, Garcia, Jose Enrique, Garcia Pablo Jan, Garcia Vincent, Garin Janet, Garin Sharon, Gasataya, Gatchalian, Gato Heron, Go Ed, Go Mark, Gonzaga, Gonzales Aurelio, Gonzales Neptali, Gonzales Sandro, Goriseta, Guico, Gulias, Guya, Haresco Hataman, Hernandez, Herrera D, Hofer Haloshos, Javier, Jimenez, Co Elisa, Co Wilton, Congun, Labad-Labad, Lacson, Lacson Noel, Lagman, Lagon, Lara, Lazatin, Leachon, Legarda, Lim, Lim Kaichong, Lopez, Loyola, Lusotan, Macapagal Arroyo, Maceda, Madrona, Malapitan, Mangawang, Mangudadatu, Marcoleta, Mariano Hernandez, Marino, Marquez, Martinez, Matba, Matugas, Mendoza, Mercado, Momo, Natividad Nagaño, Nava, Nieto Noel, Nograles Jericho, Nograles Juan, Nolasco, Nunez Malañaon, Uaminal, Olivares, Ong Jose, Ong Rodi, Ordanes, Ortega, Uwano Dizon, Pacquiao Alberto, Pacquiao Rogelio, Badiernos, Paduano, Palma, Pancho, Panotes, Peña, Pichay, Pimentel, Pineda, Plaza, Puno, Kimbo, Radaza, Ramirez Sato, Remulla, Revilla, Reyes, Rivera, Robes, Rodriguez, Roman, Romero, Romualdez Ferdinand, Romualdez Yeda, Romualdo, Romulo, Roque Sakdalan, Sagar Baria, Sakaluran, Salceda, Salimbangon, Salos, Sanchez, Sangcopan, Santos Recto, Sarmiento, Saulog, Savellano, Siao, Silverio, Singson, Singson Mihan, Sinsuat, Swansing, Estrellita, Swansing Horacio, Suarez Aleta, Suarez David, Suntay, C. Alvarado, Taduran, Palyado, Tambunting, Tan Alaisa, Tan Angelina, Tan Samir, Tan Shari, Tan Sherni, Tejada, Teves Arnolfo, Teves Jose, Tiangco, Tolentino, Torres Gomez, Tulfo, Tupas, Tutor, T. Alan, T. Diego, Umali Alfonso, Umali Maria Victoria, Unabia, Ungab, Uy Juliet, Uy Rolando, Valeriano Valmayor Vargas, Vargas Alfonso, Velasco, Veloso, Vergara, Villa, Villaferte, Villanueva Eduardo, Villanueva Noel, Villar, Villarasa Suarez, Villarica, Biolago, Yap Eric, Yap Victor, Yu, Zamora Ronaldo, Zamora Waikurak, Zarate, and Subiri. Second call, in consideration and third reading of House Bill number 9925. Abante, Abaya, Bellanosa, Abweg, Saldivar, Abunda, Acosta, Acosta Alba, Agaraw, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amatong, Aragones, Aumentado, Bagatsing, Banyas Nograles, Billones, Biron, Bolivia, Bulut, Canama, Cardema, Cari, Castelo, Cayetano Alan Peter, Cayetano Maria Larni, Chungalaw, Co Elizaldi, Coangco, Cua Quaresma, Dalipe, Jesus de Venecia, Defensor Michael, Dimaporo, Muhammad Khalid, Duavit, Duali, D. Faustino, Ebcas, Erice, Espino, Farinas, Rudy Cesar, Fernandez, Fernando, Fortun, Fortuno, Garbin, Garin Janet, Garin Sharon, Gatchalian, Gonzaga, Gonzales Sandro, Haresco, Coelisa, Covilton, Congun, Leacion, Namudadatu, Marino, Marquez, Matba, Mendoza, Mercado, Momo, Nograles, Juan Fidel, Nunez Malañao, Ordanes, Pacquiao, Alberto, Panotes, Pichay, Pineda, Rivera, Romero, Sagarbaria, Salceda, Xiao, Silverio, Singson, Sinsuat, Suarez, Aleta, Suarez, David, C. Alvarado, Tan Alisa Shina, Tan Angelina, Tan Samir, Tan Sharian, Tan Sherni, Teves Arnolfo, Teves Jose, Tiangco, Tolentino, Torres Gomez, Tulfo, Tutor, T. Alan, Uy Juliet, Veloso, Villaferte, Villanueva Eduardo, Villanueva Noel, Villar, Villarasa, Suarez, Villarica, and Subiri.
With 197 members voting in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 0 abstentions, House Bill number 9925 is hereby approved on third and final reading. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move for the consideration of House Bill 9943 for third and final reading. And for this purpose, may I request the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the bill and thereafter to call the roll for nominal voting. I so move, Madam Speaker.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the bill and call the roll for nominal voting.
House Bill number 9943, an act prohibiting the practice of child marriage and imposing penalties for violations thereof. Roll call of members in consideration of third reading of House Bill number 9943. Abante, Abaya, Bellanosa, Abu, Abueg Saldivar, Abunda, Acosta, Acosta Alba, Adyong, Advincula, Agabas, Agaraw, Aglipay, Aguinaldo, Albano, Almario, Alonte, Alvarez Franz, Alvarez Genaro, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amante Matba, Amatong Angara, Aragones, Arbizon, Arenas, Arroyo, Atienza, Aumentado, Babasa, Bagatsing, Balindong, Baños Nograles, Barba, Barbers, Baronda, Barzaga, Bascu, Bautista, Bautista Bandigan, Belmonte, Benitez, Bernos, Biazon, Billones, Biron, Bolilia, Bondoc, Bordado, Bravo, Brosas, Bulot, Bustos, Kabatbat, Cabochan, Cabredo, Cagas, Calderon, Calixto, Caminero, Campos, Canama, Kawagdan, Cardema, Cari, Castelo, Castro Franz, Castro Fredenil, Cayetano Alan Peter, Cayetano Maria Laarni, Celeste, Chato, Chipeco, Chungalao, Co Angelica, Co Elizaldi, Co Juanco, Colliantes, Crisologo, Cua, Quaresma, Cueva, Culiamat, Dagook, Dalipe, Dalog, Daza, De Jesus, De Venecia, Defensor Lawrence, Defensor Michael, De Los Santos, De Loso Montalia, De Maporo Abdullah, De Maporo Khalid, Duavit, Duhali, Duterte, D. Faustino Ino, D. Faustino Michael, D. Ian, Ebcas, Ecleo, Elago, Enverga, Erice, Erigel, Ermita Buhain, Escudero, Espina, Espino, Estrella, Fariñas Ria, Fariñas Rudy Cesar, Fernandez, Fernando, Ferrer Juliet, Ferrer Luis, Flores, Fortuno, Frasco, Fuentebella, Gaite, Garbin, Garcia Jose Enrique, Garcia Pablo Jan, Garcia Vincent, Garin Janet, Garin Sharon, Gasataya, Gatchalian, Gato, Heron, Go Ed, Go Mark, Gonzaga, Gonzales Aurelio, Gonzales Neptali, Gonzales Sandro, Goriseta, Gico, Gulias, Guya, Haresco, Hataman, Hernandez, Herrera D, Hofer, Halosos, Javier, Jimenez, Ko Eliza, Ko Wilton, Kunghun, Labad-Labad, Lacson, Lacson Noel, Lagman, Lagon, Lara, Lazatin, Liachon, Legarda, Lim, Lim Kaichong, Lopez, Loyola, Losotan, Macapagal Arroyo, Maceda, Madrona, Malapitan, Mangawang, Mangudadatu, Marcoleta, Mariano Hernandez, Marinho, Marquez, Martinez, Matba, Matugas, Mendoza, Mercado, Momo, Natividad Naganyo, Nava, Nieto, Noel, Nograles, Jericho, Nograles, Juan, Nolasco, Nunez Malaniaon, Oaminal, Olivares, Ong Jose, Ong Roni, Ordanes, Ortega, Uano Dizon, Pacquiao Alberto, Pacquiao Rogelio, Padiernos, Paduano, Palma, Pancho, Panotes, Peña, Pichay, Pimentel, Pineda, Plaza, Puno, Kimbo, Radaza, Ramirez Sato, Remulla, Revilla, Reyes, Rivera, Robes, Rodriguez, Roman, Romero, Romualdez Ferdinand, Romualdez Ieda, Romualdo, Romulo, Roque, Sakdalan, Sagarbaria, Sakaluran, Salceda, Salimbangon, Salo, Sanchez, Sangkopan, Santos Recto, Sarmiento, Saulug, Savellano, Xiao, Silverio, Singson, Singson Mihan, Sinsuwat, Swansing Estrelita, Swansing Horacio, Suarez Aleta, Suarez David, Suntay, C. Alvarado, Taruran, Talyado, Tambunting, Tan Alaisa, Tan Angelina, Tan Samir, Tan Shari, Tan Sherney, Tejada, Teves Arnolfo, Teves Jose, Pianco, Tolentino, Torres Gomez, Tulfo, Tupas, Tutor, T. Alan, T. Diego, Umali Alfonso, Umali Maria Victoria, Unabia, Ungab, Uy Juliet, Uy Rolando, Valeriano, Valmayor, Vargas, Vargas Alfonso, Velasco, Veloso, Vergara, Villa, Villafuerte, Villanueva Eduardo, Villanueva Noel, Villar, Villaraza Suarez, Villarica, Villago, Yap Eric, Yap Victor, Yu, Zamora Ronaldo, Zamora Waikorat, Zarate, Zubiri. Second call for consideration on third reading of House Bill Number 9943. Abante, Abaya, Villanosa, Saldivar, Abunda, Costa, Costa Alba, Garao, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amatong, Aragones, Aumentada, Bagatsing, Baños Nograles, Bilyones, Biron, Bolilia, Bulot, Canama, Cardema, Cari, Castelo, Cayetano, Alan Peter, Cayetano, Maria Arni, Chungalao, Co, Elizaldi, Cojuangco, Cua, Quaresma, Dalipe, De Jesus, De Venecia, Defensor Michael, De Maporo, Khalid, Duavit, Duhali, Di Faustino Ino, Ebcas, Erice, Espino, Fariñas, Rudy Cesar, Fernandez, Fernando, Fortuno, Garbin, Garin Janet, Garin Sharon, Gatchalian, Gonzaga, Gonzales Sandro, Haresco, Co Elisa, Co Wilton, Kunghun, Liachon, Mangudadatu, Marinho, Marquez, Matba, Mendoza, Mercado, Momo, Nograles Juan, Nunez Malaniaon, Ordanes, Pacquiao Alberto, Panotes, Pichay, Pineda, Rivera, Romero, Sagarbaria, Salceda, Xiao, Silverio, Singson, Sinsuat, Suarez Aleta, Suarez David, C. Alvarado, Tan Alaisa, Tan Angelina, Tan Samir, Tan Sherney, Teves Arnolfo, Teves Jose, Tiangco, Tolentino, Torres Gomez, Tulfo, T. Alan, Uy Juliet, Veloso, Villafuerte, Villanueva Noel, Villar, Villaraza Suarez, Villarica, and Zubiri.
With 196 members voting in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 2 abstentions, House Bill number 9943 is hereby approved on third and final reading. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we recognize Honorable Sara Ilago of Kabataan Party List to explain her votes.
The Honorable Sara Eligo is hereby recognized.
Maraming salamat, Madam Speaker. Now that we have more and more knowledge about the detrimental impacts of child early and forced marriage, as it remains to be a traditional or customary practice in many places, just because it has happened for generations, it's time to challenge and end it. Palagi sinasabi sa kabataan, yan na ang nakagawian at wala na tayong magagawa. Ngunit hahayaan ba natin ang CEFAM na magpatuloy kung alam at nasaksihan na natin kung paano ito nakapapahama, lalo na sa mga bata? What CEFAM does is that it compromises the safety and security of women and girls. It disrupts their opportunities for self-fulfillment and development. CEFAM exposes women and girls to increased risk of domestic violence. Clearly, Madam Speaker, the fight against CEFAM is not a fight against a long-time practice, tradition, or custom. It is an urgent and necessary fight to end abuse and violence against women and children. So it must be said over and over again because what we say is worth repeating. Dapat lamang natuldukan ang child early and forced marriage, isulong ang pangkabuang kalusugan, karapatang pagtao at kapakanan ng sambayanang Pilipino. Binibigyan din po natin ng pagpupugay ang lahat ng mga may akda, mga suporta, ang PLCTV family at mga girl defenders na nagsusulong mismo nito. For all these reasons, Madam Speaker, we vote yes to House Bill number 9943.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move for the consideration on third reading of House Bill 10007. And for this purpose, may I request the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the bill and thereafter to call for the nominal voting. I so move, Madam Speaker.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the bill and therefore call the roll for nominal voting.
House Bill number 10007. An act augmenting the retirement, death, and survivorship benefits of the Solicitor General, Assistant Solicitors General, Senior State Solicitors, and State Solicitors of the Office of the Solicitor General, and appropriating funds therefore. Roll call of members in consideration on third reading of House Bill number 10007. Abante, Abaya, Abellanosa. Abu, Abweg Saldivar, Abunda, Acosta, Acosta Alba, Adyong, Advincula, Agabas, Agaraw, Aglipay, Aguinaldo, Albano, Almario, Alonte, Alvarez Franz, Alvarez Genaro, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amante Matba, Amatom, Angara, Aragones, Arbison, Arenas, Arroyo, Atienza, Aumentado, Babasa, Bagatsing, Balindom, Banyas Nograles, Barba, Barbers, Baronda, Barzaga, Bascug, Bautista, Bautista Bandigan, Belmonte, Benitez, Bernos, Biazon, Billones, Biron, Bolilla, Bondok, Bordado, Bravo, Brosas, Bulut, Bustos, Kabatbat, Kabotchan, Cabredo, Cagas, Calderon, Calixto, Caminero, Campos, Canama, Kawagdan, Cardema, Cari, Castelo, Castro Franz, Castro Fredenil, Cayetano Alan Peter, Cayetano Maria Larni, Celeste, Chato Chipeco Chungalao, Co Angelica, Co Elizaldi, Co Juanco Colliantes, Crisologo, Cua, Quaresma, Cueva, Culyamat, Dagook, Dalipet, Dalog, Daza de Jesus de Venecia, Defensor Lawrence, Defensor Michael, De Los Santos, De Loso Montalia, Dimaporo Abdullah, Dimaporo Khalid, Duavit, Duhali, Duterte, D. Faustino Ino, D. Faustino Michael, D. Ian, Ebcas, Ecleo, Elago, Enverga, Erice, Erigel, Ermita Buhayin, Escudero, Espina, Espino, Estrella, Fariñas Ria, Fariñas Rudy Cesar, Fernandez, Fernando, Ferrer Juliet, Ferrer Luis, Flores, Fortuno, Frasco, Fuentebella, Gaite, Garbin, Garcia Jose Enrique, Garcia Pablo John, Garcia Vincent, Garin Janet, Garin Sharon, Gasataya, Gatchalian, Gato, Heron, Go Ed, Go Mark, Gonzaga, Gonzales Aurelio, Gonzales Neptali, Gonzales Sandro, Goriseta, Guico, Gulyas, Guya, Haresco, Hataman, Hernandez, Herrera Hofer, Haloshos, Javier, Jimenez, Co Elisa, Co Wilton, Konggun, Labad-Labad, Lacson, Lacson Noel, Lagman, Lagon, Lara, Lazatin, Leachon, Legarda, Lim Raichong, Lopez, Loyola, Lusotan, Macapagal Arroyo, Maceda, Madrona, Malapitan, Mangawang, Mangudadatu, Marcoleta, Mariano Hernandez, Mariño, Marquez, Martinez, Matba, Matugas, Mendoza, Mercado, Momo, Natividad Nagaño, Nava, Nieto, Noel, Nograles Jericho, Nograles Juan, Nolasco, Nunez Malañao, Uaminal, Olivares, Ong Jose, Ong Ronnie, Ordanes, Ortega, Juano Dizon, Pacquiao Alberto, Pacquiao Rogelio, Padiernos, Paduano, Palma, Pancho, Panotes, Peña, Pichay, Pimentel, Pineda, Plaza, Puno, Kimbo, Radaza, Ramirez Sato, Remulla, Revilla, Reyes, Rivera, Robes, Rodriguez, Roman, Romero, Romualdez, Ferdinand, Romualdez Yeda, Romualdo, Romulo, Roque, Sakdalan, Sagar Baria, Sakaluran, Salceda, Salimbangon, Salo, Sanchez, Sangkopan, Santos Recto, Sarmiento, Saulog, Savellanos, Xiao, Silverio, Singson, Singson Mihan, Sinsuat, Swansing Estrellita, Sonsing Horacio, Suarez Aleta, Suarez David, Suntay, C. Alvarado, Paduran, Talyado, Tambunting, Tan Alaisa, Tan Angelina, Tan Samir, Tan Shari, Tan Sherni, Tejada, Teves Arnolfo, Teves Jose, Tiangco, Tolentino, Torres Gomez, Tulfo, Tupas, Tutor, T. Alan, T. Diego, Umali Alfonso, Umali Maria Victoria, Unabia, Ungab, Uy Juliet, Uy Rolando, Valeriano, Valmayor, Vargas, Vargas Alfonso, Velasco Veloso, Vergara, Villa, Villaferte, Villanueva Eduardo, Villanueva Noel, Villar, Villarasa Suarez, Villarica, Villalago, Yap Eric, Yap Victor, Yu, Zamora Ronaldo, Zamora Waikurat, Zarate, and Zubiri. Second call, in consideration and third reading of House Bill number 10007. Abante, Abaya, Abellanosa, Abeg Saldivar, Abunda, Acosta, Acosta Alba, Agaraw, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amatong, Aragones, Aumentado, Bagatsing, Banyas Nograles, Billones, Biron, Bolivia, Bulut, Canama, Cardema, Cari, Castelo, Cayetano Alan Peter, Cayetano Maria Larni, Chungalaw, Co Elizaldi, Coangco, Cua Quaresma, Dalipe, De Jesus, De Venecia, Defensor Michael, Dimaporo, Muhammad Khalid, Duavit, Duhali, Di Faustino, Evcas, Erice, Espino, Fariñas, Rudy Cesar, Fernandez, Fernando, Fortuno, Garbin, Garin Janet, Garin Sharon, Gatchalian, Gonzaga, Gonzales Sandro, Haresco, Co Elisa, Co Wilton, Congun, Reacion, Mangudadatu, Marino, Matba, Mendoza Mercado, Momo, Nograles, Juan Fidel Felipe, Nunez Melañaon, Ordanes, Pacquiao Alberto, Panotes Pichay, Pineda Rivera, Romero, Sagarbaria, Salceda, Xiao, Silverio, Singson, Sinsuat, Suarez, Aleta, Suarez David, C. Alvarado, Tan Alisa Sheena, Tan Angelina, Tan Samir, Tan Sherni, Teves Arnolfo, Teves Jose, Tiangco, Tolentino Torres Gomez, Tulfo, T. Alan, Uy Juliet Veloso, Villafuerte, Villanueva Noel, Villar, Villarasa Suarez, Villarica, and Zubiri.
With 198 members voting the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 0 abstentions, House Bill number 10007 is hereby approved on third and final reading. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we direct the Secretary General be directed to immediately transmit to the Senate all approved House bill on third reading.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Madam Speaker,
Majority Leader.
1 minute suspension.
Session suspended.
Ma'am.
Session resumed. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we designate the following members to the Bicameral Conference Committee on the disagreeing provisions on House Bill 9030 and Senate Bill 1077, establishing the Philippine Transportation Safety Board. To be designated are the following: Representative Mario Marino, Representative Edgar Marie Sarmiento, Representative Ron Salo, Representative Ruby Biason, and Representative Sergio Dagook. I so move, Madam Speaker.
Are there any objections? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.
Madam Speaker, I move that we designate the following members to the Bicameral Conference Committee on the disagreeing provisions on House Bill 8998 and Senate Bill number 1933, establishing the policy, rules, and procedures for domestic adoption. To be designated are the following: Representative Vieda Marie Romualdez, Representative Paul Daza, Representative Rosana Vergara, Representative Maria Lourdes Acosta Alba, and Representative Eileen Gay Saulog. I so move, Madam Speaker.
Are there any objections? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.
Madam Speaker, in accordance with the rules governing inquiries in aid of legislation, I move that we refer House Resolution 2164 to the Committee on Economic Affairs. I so move, Madam Speaker.
Are there any objections? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.
Madam Speaker, regarding House Bill 9943, which we have passed on third and final reading, I am in receipt of messages from many of our colleagues that they will be submitting their explanation of votes through the various electronic means possible. Included here are Deputy Speaker Mujib Hataman and our Deputy Majority Leader, Ma'am Ami Sangkopan, and many more of our colleagues. They will be submitting their written explanation of votes on House Bill 9943.
Manifestation is noted.
Madam Speaker, I move for a few minutes suspension. So move, Madam Speaker.
Session suspended.
Tapos kaya?
Kinukuha pa lang.
Okay, sige. Okay. Speaker is there naman, no, Ma'am Tin?
Oo, nandun.
Tawagin ko lang siya. For tomorrow? Okay, boss. Okay na kayo, speaker. Tayin lang natin yung journal. Uy, yung journal na lang. Thank you.
Yung journal inaantay.
Wala pa, wala na. Journal.
Ah? Journal na lang kinakapit.
Dali lang yung journal. Ano na
Na-post. Hindi pa na-post. Papapost ko muna ulit. Pero bigyan ko sa kanila.
Kailangan nito.
Di ba may journal? Parang ano siya, no? Parang nakakain na. Nakakain. Bumababa talaga sa kanila. Nakal po yung journal? Journal? Sirahin na natin? Parang ano, sa photo. Oo, hindi ko kayo tumatawag. Bukas na. Number 4 na kanya. Adjourn tayo hanggang bukas. Yep. Joke mo muna. 7.
Majority Leader. Sessions resumed. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move that we suspend session until tomorrow, September 7 at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. I so move, Madam Speaker.
Session suspended until tomorrow at 2 p.m.
Tigilan. Picture daw. Bukas na po. Picture daw, boss. Yung muna yung cellphone. Huwag na. Oy.
Recording stopped.
Sir.
Puro boys.
Dito na tayo.
Arlene.
Ma'am,